If you could choose any version of Roger Federer, which one are you picking? The hungry 2003 prodigy winning his first Wimbledon? The comeback king at 35 defying father time in 2017? Or maybe the complete champion of 2007 with 3 Grand Slams? You really can't go wrong with any of them. But without question, I'm taking 2006 Federer. His combination of surgical precision, unmatched shot-making creativity, and ice-cold mental dominance was simply unfair. At 25, he made the best players in the world look like they'd picked up a racket last week. 92 wins, 5 losses, 12 titles, 3 Grand Slams, a level of tennis mastery that separated him from every other human on the planet. 2006, Roger Federer unlocked perfection, and this is how he did it. Heading into 2006, Federer was already the world number 1. But there were whispers, questions, doubts creeping in from the corners. Marat Safin had upset him at the 2005 Australian Open semifinals. A young Spaniard named Rafael Nadal was dismantling him on clay, beating him in 4 straight matches. Some wondered if the cracks were starting to show. Federer had something to prove. At 25 years old, he was entering his absolute physical and mental prime, peak athleticism meeting years of experience, the perfect storm of talent and wisdom. What happened next was 12 months of pure, relentless domination. The 2006 season opened at the Australian Open in Melbourne, and Federer came out like a man possessed. He steamrolled through the early rounds with surgical precision. Every match felt like a masterclass. In the semifinals, he dismantled Nicolas Kiefer without breaking a sweat. But the real test came in the final against Marcos Baghdatis. Baghdatis was the Cinderella story of the tournament. A 20-year-old from Cyprus who'd knocked out multiple top 10 players on an impossible run. The kid was playing the tournament of his life, and he came out swinging. He shocked everyone by taking the first set. Federer looked shaky, vulnerable even. For the first time in months, doubt flickered across his face. But then something shifted. Baghdatis was up a set and serving for a 2-set lead. He had 3 set points. 3 chances to go up 2 sets to none against the world number 1 in a Grand Slam final. The upset of the decade was staring Federer in the face. And then Federer flipped a switch. He reeled off 5 straight points to break back. The momentum swung like a wrecking ball. Federer won the tie-break, and from that moment on, Baghdatis never stood a chance. The 3rd set was an absolute demolition. Federer bageled him without mercy. The 4th set was more of the same. By the end, Baghdatis looked shell-shocked, like he'd just survived a natural disaster. As Rod Laver handed Federer the trophy, tears streamed down his face. The emotion was raw, real. The superhero became human for just a moment. But back on the court, he was anything but. Federer carried that momentum into the hard court season like a tidal wave. He won Indian Wells in California, dismantling everyone in his path. 2 weeks later, he won Miami, the Sunshine Double, back-to-back Masters titles. And here's the kicker. In Miami, he destroyed Rafael Nadal on hard court, proving that off clay, the Spaniard had no answers. None. By April, Federer's record on hard courts was an absurd 35 wins and just 1 loss. 4 titles in the first 4 months of the season. He wasn't just winning, he was making tennis look unfair. And then came clay season. This is where things got complicated. Federer reached the finals at Monte Carlo, lost to Nadal, reached the finals at Rome, had match points against Nadal, 2 chances to close it out, lost in 5 brutal sets after 5 hours. It was gutting, exhausting. Then came the French Open. Federer was on a mission. He raced through the tournament like a man obsessed, dropping just 2 sets on his way to the final. He exploded out of the gates against Nadal, dominating the first set. The career Grand Slam was within reach. He could taste it. But Nadal clawed back. Federer couldn't hold on. The dream died in 4 sets. The 1 surface, the 1 player, the 1 loss at a Grand Slam in 2006. But on every other surface, against every other player, Federer was a god, and he was about to prove it. Wimbledon 2006. Federer's kingdom, the place where he'd won 3 straight titles, going for a 4th. And guess who was waiting in the final? Rafael Nadal. 1 month after heartbreak in Paris, this was Federer's shot at revenge. on grass, on his surface. And what happened next was one of the most brutal displays of dominance in tennis history. The first set was a complete annihilation. Federer bageled Nadal, didn't let him win a single game. It was over in 24 minutes, the first bagel in a Wimbledon final since 1994. Nadal, the guy who'd just beaten him at the French Open, looked completely helpless. Federer was hitting angles the Spaniard couldn't even reach, slicing backhands that skidded off the grass like they were on ice. Serving aces down the tee, Nadal was getting destroyed. The second set was closer, but Federer took the tiebreak. He dropped the third set, his first set loss of the entire tournament. But in the fourth, Federer closed the door. Game over. On grass, Nadal had 0 answers. Fourth consecutive Wimbledon title. 8th Grand Slam overall. As Federer collapsed to the ground in celebration, tears streaming down his face, you could see the weight lift off his shoulders. On his favorite surface, against his biggest rival, he'd proven beyond any doubt who was king. The North American hardcourt summer was more of the same. Federer won Toronto, saving 3 match points in the semifinals in one of the gutsiest performances of the year. He was clutch, unshakable, ice in his veins. Then came Cincinnati. After reaching the finals of his first 11 tournaments in 2006, Federer ran into a 19-year-old British kid named Andy Murray in the second round. Murray upset him in straight sets. It was Federer's only straight-set loss of the entire year, the only tournament out of 17 where he didn't reach the final. That loss? It lit a fire. Federer didn't lose another match for the rest of the year. At the US Open, he was a man on a mission. He steamrolled through the draw, demolished James Blake in the quarterfinals, crushed Nikolai Davydenko in the semis without dropping a set, and in the final, he faced Andy Roddick, the 2003 US Open champion who'd lost to Federer in back-to-back Wimbledon finals. Roddick came out firing. His serve was a weapon, one of the biggest in tennis history, but Federer was locked in. He raced out to a massive lead in the first set, breaking Roddick's serve repeatedly. Roddick looked stunned. The American battled back to take the second set, and suddenly the crowd was alive. Roddick had a chance. In the third set, things got tense. Break points everywhere. Both players holding on by their fingernails. The set stayed on serve until the very end when Federer broke through and grabbed it. In the fourth set, Federer put his foot on the gas and ended it. Third consecutive US Open title. 9th Grand Slam overall. He became the first man since Ivan Lendl to win 3 straight US Opens, and the first in the Open era to win 3 straight Wimbledons and US Opens in the same year. His Grand Slam record in 2006? 27 wins, 1 loss, 3 titles out of 4. The only defeat? Nadal on clay. But Federer wasn't finished. He won his hometown tournament in Basel for the first time, a deeply emotional victory. Then at the year-end Tennis Masters Cup in Shanghai, he beat Nadal again in the semifinals before demolishing James Blake in the final. 12 titles in 2006, 92 wins, 5 losses, a 94.8% win rate. He wasn't just the best player in the world, he was playing a different sport. So what made 2006 Federer not human? Let's break it down. First, the shot making. Federer's one-handed backhand down the line was poetry, disguised until the last possible moment, then ripped with topspin that kissed the baseline. His inside-out forehand could change direction instantly, pulling opponents wide and leaving them stranded in no man's land. Drop shots that died on the second bounce, lobs that landed on the line, half volleys from impossible angles. He had 20 different ways to beat you, and you never knew which one was coming. Most players at the top level have 1 or 2 weapons they rely on, a massive serve, a killer forehand. Federer had an entire arsenal. He could beat you with power or touch, aggression or patience. He'd serve and volley 1 point, grind from the baseline the next, then hit a between-the-legs tweener just because he could. The variety was absurd, but here's what separated him from everyone else: the mental game. Federer never panicked, never rushed. When the pressure was crushing, when opponents had break points or set points, that's when he got calmer, more focused, more dangerous. He'd paint the line with a first serve or hit a backhand winner that defied physics. In the biggest moments, he was ice cold. The efficiency was what made it look so easy. He didn't waste energy chasing down every ball or grinding out 30-shot rallies unless he had to. He found angles that ended points in 3 shots instead of 15. He made 5-set matches look like walkthroughs while his opponents were gasping for air, drenched in sweat. Federer barely broke a sweat because he was playing chess while everyone else was swinging hammers. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about the French Open? He lost to Nadal. Here's the reality. In 2006, Rafael Nadal on clay was also not human. Nadal won 60 matches on clay that year and lost one single match. He was 59-1 on dirt, playing the most suffocating, relentless clay court tennis the sport had ever seen. It took the greatest clay court player of all time at his absolute peak to beat Federer on one surface. On hard courts, Federer beat Nadal twice. On grass, beat him twice. Indoor courts, beat him. The French Open loss didn't diminish Federer's greatness. It proved that both of them were operating on a level nobody else could touch. Federer's 2006 season wasn't defined by one loss. It was defined by 92 wins, by reaching 16 finals out of 17 tournaments, by winning 12 titles including 3 Grand Slams, by holding the #1 ranking for 365 straight days without anyone even threatening it. And the legacy that followed? He won 3 more slams in 2007. He eventually conquered clay by winning the French Open in 2009, completing the career Grand Slam. He went on to win 20 Grand Slams total, more weeks at #1 than anyone in history, and at age 36 became the oldest world #1 ever. That comeback at 35 to win the 2017 Australian Open after 6 months off? Pure magic. But 2006 was different. 2006 was perfection with a single crack. And that crack somehow made it all more beautiful, more human, more legendary. Roger Federer didn't just dominate tennis in 2006, he played at a level that shouldn't have been possible. 92 wins, 12 titles, 3 Grand Slams, shot-making that looked like CGI. Other players were playing tennis. Federer was creating art. In 2006, Roger Federer wasn't just the best player on the planet. He was the only one playing at that level. He simply was not human.